Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, here it is Thursday, and today is the 4th of July, and I am sorry that I am late by a day. I'm sorry I'm late by a day. It just totally slipped my mind. My video just totally slipped my mind. I remembered once in the morning, and I remembered once when I was on the road, and I forgot the rest of the time. So I did forget to make my video yesterday, and I do apologize. It's just a day late, so you still get the benefit of the video. And today's topic in honor of the 4th of July is our freedoms. Now, we don't think about our freedoms very often, and we think the best people defending our freedoms sometimes are the military, the people who are killing people in foreign countries far away, that they're defending our freedoms. But who is really defending our freedoms, and how do we preserve our freedoms best? And what freedoms do we have that we appreciate? What are we grateful for? And what freedoms are at stake? So let's discuss this topic in a little bit more detail. I'll tell you the things I'm grateful for. Let's see. I'm grateful for freedom of speech, so I can say anything I want on YouTube. Freedom of speech is a big one. Freedom of religion, freedom to worship my goddess, and freedom to worship my goddess as I see fit, and at any time I can worship my goddess, so there's freedom of religion. Freedom of gays to get married. We love that freedom. That freedom is under threat now. We don't know if we're going to still have that freedom in the future. So that's one of our freedoms that's under threat, is the freedom of gays to get married. And of course the freedom of jobs, the freedom for gays to get jobs wherever. They do not have that freedom yet. They ironically have the freedom to get married, but not the freedom to have their jobs preserved. So they can still fire gays for any reason in this country, and we need to get that freedom. So we're not there yet. We're not there completely yet. We don't have all the freedoms for the gays. Freedom for a trans person to use the bathroom. Obviously, a trans person should be able to use any bathroom they prefer. And I'm not saying trans people are exempt, but they should represent their gender well and use the bathroom that's appropriate for their perceived gender. And we're not there yet. We don't have trans people do not have the freedom yet to use the bathroom of their choice. So freedom to use the bathroom. I don't think that boys really need to be protected from anyone born a girl. As far as protecting women from people born men, that might be a possibility, but only if the person is not psychologically, like we could have a psychologist decide whether that person is really trans or not, and whether they should be using the women's restroom. And once we have a psychologist determine that and sign the okay on it, then they should be able to use the women's restroom, but not the men's restroom. So the freedom of trans people to use the bathroom, we're not there yet, but we still are thinking about it. Freedom of eating. Freedom to eat what you choose. In this context, I'm thinking of vegans. Freedom not to have dairy and meat force-fed, shoved down our throats. That should be a freedom. We're not there yet. We have hospitals that still do not serve vegan meals. I know my hospital is one of them, and I wrote to my representative about this recently. I wrote to both of my representatives. I wrote to my state senator and my state representative. And my state senator did not answer at all. He did not answer. My state representative answered, and she said, "Why don't you take it up with the county commissioner?" So she did not take it seriously at all. And the state senator obviously didn't take it seriously because he never wrote me back. So this is an important freedom. It ties in with freedom of religion, because if you have a religious belief that you should not slaughter animals, or you have a religious belief that you should support the environment, those are religious beliefs. So they should, and also if you have a dietary need, like if you have heart disease or a dietary preference, they should support that. So we already have kosher supported, and we have halal supported, but we're not there yet for the vegans. So we need to make sure that vegans have the freedom to eat what they choose, especially in a hospital setting where you can't choose what you're fed. You just get fed whatever they have on their menu, and you don't have the freedom to choose what to eat. So they need to get there. They need to get there and support the freedom of religion fully, and support the freedom to eat. So we have lots of freedoms. The freedom of women to choose to get an abortion rights, to choose what to do with her body, the freedom to choose. That freedom is under threat right now. So right now in this country, this is a real freedom that is under threat, and we're losing our freedom to choose even as we speak. And they said the Supreme Court's going to weigh on this very soon, and that they're going to vote down a woman's right to choose, and it'll apply to the whole country. So that's something that needs to change. Pro-life advocates on the Supreme Court now, because of Trump getting in office, all Bernie Sanders' fault. All Bernie Sanders' fault. He lost the election for us, and now a woman's right to choose is threatened everywhere because of Bernie Sanders' pride and attacking Hillary Clinton relentlessly. He didn't have any mercy on her, and he split the Democratic Party in two. So freedom to, and also there's those comedians, like those late night talk show hosts that like Stephen Colbert, that made fun of Hillary and said death taxes and Hillary. That was his slogan. Don't forget, Stephen Colbert is not on our side. He was not on our side. He just wanted to keep his career going because he could make fun of Trump every single day. So that kept his career going, but he didn't care about the rest of the country. So he's guilty too, Stephen Colbert. I refuse to watch Stephen Colbert. But so the freedoms that we hold dear are under threat. Even the freedom of speech, the most basic freedom. The freedom of speech is under threat by Trump, who doesn't believe, Donald Trump does not believe that we should have freedom of the press. He wants to suppress the freedom of the press. He doesn't believe in the press. He thinks that they're the I don't even know what he calls them, the liars or something like that. He calls fake news. That's it. He calls them the fake news media. So our freedom of speech is under threat too. So all of our freedoms are under threat right now by the Republican Party that never really cared about our freedoms anyway. And they don't see how those freedoms support them. They don't see how those freedoms support them. They just want freedom for themselves and nobody else. So they're just basically at war with anybody in the world that disagrees with their religious or other political views. They're just at war all the time. They don't care about freedom. So they're not into preserving freedom. The Republican Party isn't. They've never really believed in our freedoms. They've never supported our freedoms. Our freedoms came to us by liberal people, okay? Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. Now, I know he owned slaves. I know there were unideal things about him, but he was a liberal at the time. at the time he was considered very liberal. He was part of the Democratic Republican Party, and the Democratic Republican Party was the liberal party of the time during the American Revolution. So our freedoms came to us by liberals, and our freedoms should be preserved by liberals. But my representative was a liberal, and she did not support my right to. I know her personally. I've ridden in a car with her. I've spoken with her. She comes from my local city. I know her, this representative, and she got promoted up from where she was. But she's always been a bit thick-headed and not very sympathetic. She's not a very sympathetic woman, and she's going to learn her lesson, because I'm going to tell everyone. I'm going to tell everyone about her, and I'm going to tell all the other representatives what she did. And those are her co-workers, so they will definitely have an influence over what she says and thinks in the future, because she didn't take me seriously, and I'm her constituent, so I might not even vote for her again if she doesn't support me in the future. So I don't think taking up a constitutional right with my county commissioner is such a hot idea. I don't think county commissioners should be in charge of my constitutional rights, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that for anyone in my state. They got this passed in New York State. They got it passed in New York State that all hospitals have to provide a vegan meal. They got that passed in New York State. Why not in my state? So we're going to try. We're going to try to get it passed. Try to get it passed in your state too. Write to your representatives, and if they give you the cold shoulder like my representatives did, write to all the representatives in your state, all of them, and until somebody replies and somebody cares, and then you can get it passed in your state too. It should be a right. It should be a basic constitutional right and a basic human right to be able to eat vegan in a hospital. But yeah, just support this 4th of July. Think about your rights as an American citizen, and think about supporting those rights, and who supports those rights and freedoms, and who really doesn't. Who isn't really in support of freedom, who doesn't really support freedoms. It's just something to think about. It's something to consider and something to think about. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha Wolf signing off. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the 4th. Enjoy your fireworks and your vegan barbecues. And I'll see you next time.